You know that site? Maybe in the back of the fridge or a damp corner of the basement. It's dusty, sometimes slimy, and often has that unmistakable musty smell.
Yeah, the kind of thing that makes you instantly recoil from your food
Mm.
or question the air quality in your house.
Exactly. We're talking about mold today.
But here's the twist. The really fascinating part our sources dig into. That same organism, the one spoiling your lunch, could actually hold the key to saving your life.
That's the contradiction we really want to unpack. So our goal for this deep dive is to get to know these fungi molds from, their basic building blocks right up to how they affect us, our health, our industries.
We'll break down some of the main types, the helpful ones, the ones that are just there, and yeah, the really harmful ones too.
And it seems like they are everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. Mold is pretty much a global citizen. Indoors, outdoors, doesn't matter. Its spores are incredible travelers. They catch rides on air currents, float on water, hitchhike on insects, animals.
So avoiding it completely is basically impossible.
Pretty much. It's a constant, a part of almost every ecosystem.
Okay, let's start with the fundamentals then. When I hear fungus, my mind goes straight to, like, a big portobello mushroom sizzling in a pan. How does that fuzzy green stuff on old bread even belong in the same category?
It's a great question. Because molds are technically microfungi. They're multicellular, like that mushroom.
Ah, okay.
They're actually closer relatives to the portobello than they are to something like yeast, which is single-celled. Molds are just, well, much tinier and simpler in their structure. They tend to grow out these sprawling, sort of cottony mats instead of forming a distinct cap and stem.
Right, that fuzzy look. What actually makes up that fuzz? That's the visual cue that usually screams danger or yuck to us.
That fuzziness is the main body, really.
Yeah.
It has two key parts. First, there's the mycelium.
Mycelium.
Think of it like the mold's root system, but
Yeah.
microscopic. It's made of these superfine thread-like things called hyphae.
Hyphae. Got it.
And these hyphae burrow down into whatever the mold is, eating the bread, the wall, the log, the fuzz you actually see on the surface. That's often a thick mat of those hyphae spreading out.
So the fuzz is basically its feeding network spreading out.
Exactly. And then the second part is the fruiting bodies.
Okay.
These are more specialized structures. Sometimes they stick up a bit from the surface. Their job is to produce the spores for reproduction.
Ah, the spores. So if I poke some moldy bread and see that little puff of dust.
Yep, that's it. You've just launched potentially millions of spores into the air, each one ready to float off and start a new mold colony if it lands somewhere suitable.
Wow. And these colonies show up in this crazy range of colors: blues, greens, whites, reds, yellows, oranges, pinks, browns, and of course black.
It's kind of wild that all this diversity just needs moisture, oxygen, and something organic to eat.
It really is nature's ultimate recycler. From an ecological standpoint, mold is incredibly important. We might not like it in our homes, but in nature, it's essential.
Well, molds are decomposers. They thrive in damp, shady spots, breaking down dead plants and animals. Without them, think about it. Forests would just pile up with dead leaves and wood. Mold returns those nutrients to the soil.
Okay, so maybe I should feel a little bit grateful when I find moldy leftovers. Thank it for its service to the planet before I toss it.
Huh. Maybe not grateful, but you can appreciate it's just doing its job, following its biological programming.
Decompose organic stuff.
All right, let's pivot from the structure to the specific types, the genera that we tend to encounter. Our sources highlighted 4 common ones: Cladosporium, Aspergillus, Alternaria, and Penicillium. Where should we start?
Let's begin with Cladosporium. This one generally falls into the neutral or maybe slightly allergenic category.
Okay.
There are over 700 species known. It's one of the most common molds you'll find indoors, literally worldwide. For the most part, it's harmless in terms of making you sick with toxins.
But it can cause allergies. Yes, definitely.
No.
It's a major trigger for allergies and asthma symptoms for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Sneezing, itchy eyes, congestion, that sort of thing.
So if you, the listener, maybe see some patchy discoloration, maybe greenish or brownish after a small leak, or just in a persistently damp spot.
There's a good chance it could be a Cladosporium. It's pretty hardy. It could even grow slowly inside your refrigerator, causing food to get discolored or go off a bit faster.
And it can look brown, green, even black sometimes.
It can, yeah. But it's important to stress this is not the toxic black mold people worry so much about. With Cladosporium, the main concern is usually allergies. Clean it up, fix the moisture source, but it's typically not an immediate severe health threat.
Good distinction. Okay, now on to a real celebrity of the mold world, Penicillium.
Ah, yes. the genus that gives us those wonderful pungent blue cheeses, Roquefort, Gorgonzola, and also some soft cheeses like Brie and Camembert rely on related species.
Delicious, yes, but more significantly, medicine.
Absolutely. The name itself is the giveaway, right? Penicillin, the antibiotic, comes from a species called Penicillium chrysogenum. Used to be called P. notatum.
Can you just remind us how huge that discovery was? It's easy to take antibiotics for granted now.
Oh, it's almost impossible to overstate. Before the 1920s, 1930s, simple things. A bacterial infection from a cut, strep throat, things we barely worry about now.
Yeah.
They could easily kill you.
Right.
Alexander Fleming's accidental discovery in 1928, noticing that mold-inhibiting bacteria, it completely changed medicine. Suddenly, doctors had a weapon against these common killers. It was revolutionary.
And the way it works is quite elegant, isn't it?
It really is. Penicillin targets the bacteria's cell wall. Imagine the cell wall is like the outer brick structure holding a building together.
Okay.
Penicillin messes with an enzyme. The bacteria needs to keep that wall strong and repaired. So the bacteria keeps growing inside, but its protective shell gets weaker and weaker.
Until
the internal pressure gets too high, the weak wall just ruptures, and the bacterium essentially bursts and dies. It's quite targeted.
incredible. From life-saving drugs to, well, crop devastation, the fungal kingdom really covers the spectrum. Let's talk about Alternaria.
Yeah, Alternaria species are bad news for farmers. They are major plant pathogens causing diseases like black rot. They can wipe out significant portions of crops.
So if I see that telltale, squishy, dark brown spot on an apple or tomato.
Alternaria is a very likely culprit, yes. It's pretty common.
And that saying, one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. Does that hold up biologically here?
It absolutely does. Alternaria spreads really easily from infected fruit to healthy fruit, especially if they're touching in storage, like in a fruit bowl or crate. So yeah, that old wisdom is spot on scientifically.
Okay, now for the one that causes the most fear. Stachybotrys chartarum, the infamous black mold. It's got this terrifying reputation. Is it really the killer it's made out to be?
This is where myth and reality get seriously tangled. Stachybotrys definitely has a PR problem. But based on the science, it's not inherently more dangerous than many other molds.
Really? So why the panic? Just the color?
The color definitely plays a role. It looks menacing. And there have been some highly publicized, maybe even sensationalized cases. But the reality is, while it's not pleasant, its dangers are often overblown.
What is it like to grow on? Why do we find it in homes?
It has a preference for cellulose, that's plant fiber. So it loves materials like paper, the paper facing on drywall, wood, cardboard, especially after significant water damage, like a flood or serious leak.
And the symptoms, are they different?
They're generally the same kind of respiratory and allergy symptoms you can get from other molds. Sneezing, coughing, runny nose, eye irritation. It can certainly make asthma worse. It does produce mycotoxins, yes, but the idea that it's uniquely deadly compared to all other molds just doesn't hold up to scientific scrutiny. It's unpleasant, needs removal, but probably won't kill you.
That's a really important clarification. Okay, so maybe Stachybotrys isn't the top villain, but you mentioned a double agent earlier, Aspergillus.
Right, Aspergillus is fascinating because it plays both sides. Some species can cause infections called aspergillosis.
How serious is that?
It ranges from mild allergic reactions to quite severe lung infections, especially, and this is key, in people who have weakened immune systems or underlying lung conditions. For healthy people, it's usually less of a threat.
But the other side?
The other side is fermentation. Specific Aspergillus species, known collectively as koji molds in Japan, have been used for thousands of years in East Asia. They're essential for making things like soy sauce, miso steak, foundational foods for billions.
Wow. So we've got the mostly harmless allergen, Cladosporium, the lifesaver, Penicillium, the crop destroyer, Alternaria, the scary but maybe overhyped one, Stachybotrys, and the double agent, Aspergillus. But our sources pointed to something truly profoundly dangerous.
Yes. This brings us to what many consider the real heavyweight villains of the mold world. Aflatoxins.
Aflatoxins, what are they exactly?
They are a type of mycotoxin, a toxic chemical produced by fungi. Specifically, they're made primarily by two species, Aspergillus flavus and Aspergillus parasiticus.
And where do these particular molds grow?
They thrive on agricultural crops, especially in warm and humid climates around the globe. Think staple foods.
Okay, so what makes aflatoxins stand out? Why are they such a big deal?
Because, and this is according to extensive research, Aflatoxins are considered among the most carcinogenic substances known to exist.
Oh, okay. One of the most carcinogenic substances naturally occurring.
Exactly. Naturally occurring, produced by mold growing on food crops. It's a massive global health concern.
What happens if someone ingests them? What are the effects?
If you ingest a large amount at once, acute exposure, it can cause immediate severe symptoms. Nausea, vomiting, intense abdominal pain, sometimes even convulsions.
That sounds awful.
It is. But the perhaps more insidious danger is chronic low-level exposure over time. This happens frequently in parts of the world where crop storage and regulation are challenging.
And the long-term effect of that.
Severe liver damage and a significantly increased risk of developing liver cancer. It's a major public health issue tied directly to the food supply.
Which specific foods are most at risk for aflatoxin contamination?
We're talking about major global staples here. Corn is a big one, rice, millet, wheat, peanuts, cottonseed, and also tree nuts like almonds, pistachios, walnuts.
That's a lot of fundamental foods, especially peanuts and corn in warmer regions.
Precisely. You see the scale of the problem.
Yeah.
Monitoring and controlling aflatoxin levels is a constant battle for food safety agencies worldwide.
So this is critical then.
Okay.
What can people do to minimize their own risk?
The best advice is to buy grains and nuts, especially peanuts, from major commercial brands. They generally have strict testing protocols in place.
Okay.
And visually inspect your nuts. You have peanuts, almonds, whatever in your pantry, and they look shriveled, off-color, dusty, or obviously moldy, just throw them out. Don't try to pick out the good ones. The toxins could be there even if you can't see the mold. It's not worth the risk.
That is definitely actionable advice. Okay, that brings us to the classic kitchen question. You see some fuzz on a block of hard cheese or the end of a loaf of bread. Can you just cut that moldy bit off and eat the rest? We've all done it or thought about it.
Yeah, it's tempting. But the simple answer, based on how mold grows, is probably not. Especially for softer foods.
Why not? If I cut like an inch around the fuzzy spot.
Because what you see, that surface fuzz, is just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. It's the fruiting bodies, maybe, and some surface hyphae. But by the time you can see it, that invisible network, the mycelium.
The root system.
Exactly. Those hyphae have likely already grown deep into the food, spreading much farther than the visible spot. Especially in things with more moisture, like bread, soft cheese, yogurt, jams. Those roots can spread really fast and throughout the whole thing.
So even the part that looks perfectly fine could already be contaminated.
It could be. And if it happened to be one of those molds that produces toxins, like the aflatoxin produces we just talked about, those toxins could be present in the clean part too. With hard cheese, where moisture is low, you might get away with cutting off a generous margin, but for most things, it's safer to just discard it.
That makes sense. What if you do accidentally eat something moldy? It happens. Should you panic? Rush to the doctor?
No, definitely don't panic. For most people, accidentally eating a small amount of common mold isn't going to cause serious harm. Your body can usually handle it.
So just monitor yourself.
Yeah, just keep an eye on how you feel. If you start having really severe symptoms, persistent vomiting, difficulty breathing, a high fever, then absolutely seek medical attention. But for a little bit of fuzz on bread, you're probably going to be okay. No need for immediate alarm bells.
This has been quite the journey. We've gone from, the yuck factor of spoiled food to life-saving antibiotics and then into these really serious hidden dangers like carcinogens in our food supply.
It really highlights just how complex and, frankly, powerful the fungal kingdom is. Molds are everywhere, doing all sorts of things, good and bad. And we've only really talked about a handful of common ones.
Right, you mentioned estimates of like 300,000 species of fungi worldwide.
At least.
Yeah.
And we probably only understand a fraction of what they're all capable of. We're constantly discovering new species and new biochemical pathways within them.
Which leads to a really interesting final thought. Penicillin was found completely by accident, right? A lucky observation.
Total serendipity. Fleming wasn't even looking for it.
So with potentially hundreds of thousands of mold species still out there, barely studied, what other game-changing discoveries might be lurking? What other penicillins, or maybe completely different kinds of breakthroughs, are just waiting in some unstudied fungus?
It's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
Given their chemical diversity, the potential is enormous.
Something to ponder next time you find that forgotten container in the fridge, maybe. Beyond the annoyance, there's a whole hidden world of potential there.